Okay, I'm going to admit somebody else here. Aloha. Hey, it's Julie Ziemelis, 365 Hawaii Group, Keller Williams Realty. That's our new team name. And Eric Ziemelis is on the mainland, and I hope we'll be able to make it in, but us as team members say hi. And we are bringing our other 365 Kona Ohana realtors into the group with me as well. I've got Delania Branham here today with eXp Realty, and Lance Owens with the Kona home team, LUVA Real Estate, and Amber Haley at Hawaii Life. And we don't have our mortgage people here this time because they are wandering around in Italy somewhere, and Jana is in Peru, and I'm going to France. So it's a busy summer for our friends here. So we are going to have Lance. I know that he was kind of like a little under pressure here. Lance, if you can just share what you know about what's happening in the Kona market. I've have Delania who did some research on what was going on in the North or South Kohala area, including Waikoloa Resort and Waikoloa Village. And then Amber is going to take over what's happening in Hilo and East Hawaii in general. So let's start with Lance. Are you ready to give us some good news or some news in all, general?
We got some good news. So
Okay.
actually, it was good to see. So, anybody that's watched it for a while, we always mention Caravan, right? So on Caravan, and I apologize, guys, I don't have a photo up. I've been showing in Waikoloa all day. So, but on Caravan today, we had 8 homes. So that was good. Julie, I saw you there in the audience looking at it too, right? So we had 8 properties to show. We had, I'm in my car, hopefully it sounds better. We have, looking at listings, we're at 69 listings that are active today. And if you remember, it wasn't but like 4 months ago, we had 49 or 50. So, we've got a good, what is that? A good up to almost 70. That's quite a big percentage over what we had before, even though it sounds small, like 19 homes or 20 homes. That's almost a 50% increase in inventory from what we had. So that's huge. So I think that's good news. As more come on and more make it a little bit longer, I think our closings last month on homes, we only had 5 homes that sold in under 5 days.
So
good news for buyers.
Okay, there we go. So that's good. That's good news for buyers because at least you're not competing with 30 people and prices keep going up. It's like, look like it's kind of like at least softening a little bit then. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, we're hearing, I don't want to use the word softening, but it's not as crazy.
Okay. So just the frenzy isn't as frenzied.
Frenzy from, we got a little bit, we're still at about 90% absorption rate. So that's still high. We need to be put down to 20%.
Okay,
so,
I'll say
ways to go.
25. So
yeah.
Okay, so that's good. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, hang on. Delania, what have you found about what's happening north of Kona?
So I did, I pulled the year to date for South Kohala and North Kohala. There's a lot more listings in South Kohala. Currently we have 89 units. Last year at this time we had 102. So that's a little bit down, but it's not a huge drop. The biggest change is the year to date median price. South Kohala, it's $915. Previously it was 750,000. So that's 22% up, which is a big jump, which we know prices are up from last year. That's residential and condos. Year to date right now, South Kohala, there's 118 units. Last year there was 174. They had a big jump. Their year to date median price in South Kohala is 1.130, and this is just condos. Last year it was 703,000, so that's like a 60% increase. So inventory wise, we're down a little bit, but yeah, prices are crazy. And then I pulled just today, Waikoloa area, South Kohala. There's currently 29 active listings up to, I capped it at 2 million. And that's condos and houses. Mm-hmm. Of those 29 active listings, 19 have been on over 10 days. So that's great. So some things are still moving quickly, but we're seeing more and more homes that are, and it's kind of the same. Kona and Kohala, kind of mirror each other, but things are sitting a little bit longer than they used to. Like you said, the frenzy's not quite so frenzied, so the pressure's on, but it's people are starting to get priced out a little bit, and people are having to take a back seat, which is opening it up, the playing field a little bit more for the people that can stay in the market. So it's helpful. It's it's slightly promising for some,
Yeah.
challenging for those people that are getting priced out. So, it's the win-loss.
Yeah, yeah. So let's say, okay, so when Lance and I kind of do this little thing that we look at what the price of Alihi Lani is. The one I look at up there is Ali Milani. That's where we used to live, in the 2-bedroom, 2-bath, because all the condos in that area are usually 2-bedroom, 2-baths. Do you have an idea what that's going for? Because when we were there, it was 260, and then a friend of mine was looking at it was like around 350. Where is it now? Do you know?
Yeah, if I remember correctly, and I can pull it up really quick, they've been going, I think, in the high 3s.
Okay, so high 3s. Okay, so people
Yeah.
who are on the call, who I think right now that the median price for a condo in Kona is like 500 or something. So you still might be able to get at least a chance to live in a condo in West Hawaii for less than
Yeah, that
400.
one, I just pulled up, Julie, and there's nothing active. There's 3 under contract. They are 414, 425, 469. So they've kind of almost doubled
They've jumped up. Okay.
where they were.
Okay. So between Lance and Delania, because I keep getting these people calling and saying, I've got $500,000. I want to buy a single family house in West Hawaii. I'm saying no. But now we're even looking at a decent condo is starting to sneak up into that $500,000 range.
Especially if you want 2 bedrooms. I mean, that's the
people do.
kicker. Yeah, 1 bedrooms, you can still find a few under 400,000, but it's it's limited. And then you're maybe looking at a leasehold.
Yeah. Yeah, we have what's going. Okay. Because
I
like
think
I said,
just to add in real quick, Julia, on that, like the 2-2, I think there's 2 Elite Elanis, one at 505, one at 530 right now, I think, for 2-bedroom, 2-bath Elite Elanis.
right. And that's like that was your base minimum of like average schmo
Yeah, I
condo.
saw that in Santa Cruz.
Yeah, that was
Scottsdale.
275, I think, before, right? When we used to always talk,
Yeah.
275 to 300. Yeah.
Yeah. So there we go with that. Okay. And what's happening is, because I'm getting the phone calls from people saying, hey, I watch your things on the internet and I really want to buy a house. And this like just happened yesterday. I've got $400,000. And I'm like, well, there's a condo. And then the wife is going like this. I need room around my house to grow food. And I've got 2 dogs. So I said, you might want to jump over to East Hawaii. And
Or go south.
Yeah, let's have Amber talk about what's happening in the market over there.
Hi guys, and sorry not to confuse everyone on somebody else's Zoom account, but I am Amber. And let's talk about East Hawaii market. It is still really competitive over in East Hawaii. I'm seeing a lot, pretty much if you're looking under 500,000, it's pretty competitive, probably because a lot of people are getting priced out on other parts of the island. And I'm seeing a lot of all cash still. The winning offers usually all cash. So just something to keep in mind. If you're not a cash buyer, that's okay. There's still houses that are being sold without all cash, but the more cash you can bring right now in East Hawaii, the better, especially if you're at a lower price point. And right now, median sales price for Puna is about $350,000, and for like Hilo, so technically South Hilo district, which is most of the real estate sales in Hilo, that's about $550,000. So that's about the price point difference between Hilo proper kind of and farther south down in Puna, where the land is less valuable. We have more lava zones factoring into that. So it's still really busy with buyers. There's a lot of people still trying to buy in East Hawaii. I do think there are more days on market right now. The frenzy is slowing definitely, but there is still a huge pent up buyer demand that I'm seeing.
Okay. And I know that sometimes we don't touch on Hawaii Ocean View Estates in this roundup because we don't have a realtor from that area. But this gentleman that called me yesterday said, because this is what happens. He lives in Georgia. He's like, so what's going on with Hawaii Ocean View Estates? They have houses for 200,000. And I'm like, and then I had to show him a geographic, geologic picture of the island and show him where the lava zones are and how they flow and everything. And he was pretty convinced by the time I got done with him that he doesn't want to live in lava zone 1. But he was asking about getting financing in lava zone 2. And I said, there is people who do financing on lava zone 2. But Lance has put up like the lava zone maps quite a few times during.
Are you Dava?
Oh, that's him. There you go. But what we could do is if you guys are in the group for the Facebook page, we'll put up the, hey, you guys, I'm going to tag you there. I'm going to put the lava zone map again in the group so people can get an idea. When we're talking about lava zone 1 and 2, that's where you get less expensive homes because it's a higher level lava zone and there's a chance that you're not going to be in your home 20, 10, 15, I don't know how many years, but at some point there's a high risk that the lava zones are going to get you. And then also, Amber, the question had come up also, KL, like where Hawaii Paradise Park is, what lava zone is that?
So KL is
Yeah.
more valuable. Oh, I'm on. Yeah. Okay. Lava zone 3. So if you are one of those people who wants to stick to the less risky lava zones, I'm not telling you that lava won't go to lava zone 3, but if you don't want, your real estate purchase to be as affected by lending or insurance, stick to lava zone 3. So KL is all 3. Lava zone 2 pretty much starts, generally speaking, in Pahoa. So Ainaloa is in Pahoa. However, Ainaloa neighborhood, if anyone on this Zoom has looked and seen property there, that is lava zone 3. So it's a really popular neighborhood right now in Pahoa, but pretty much the rest of Pahoa is lava zone 1 and 2, but Keau is 3, up toward Volcano is 3. So that's where you want to look if you're worried about the lava zone.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. And then is that
Julie?
Lance? Yes.
Lance, sorry about that. I'm driving you guys. Real quick is Kona's only lava zone 4. So we're real close to KL's lava zone. You can get down to Captain Cook and be in the lava zone 3 real quick. So it's not a huge difference. So lava zone 4 is still there too. But I think lava zone 3 and 4 have no restrictions on insurance and things like that or lending.
Right. Because Kohala still is an active volcano. And I had a little discussion about how Mauna Loa had been going up every 30 years for a very, very long time, and we're overdue for that one. But she was looking at the map and she said, what's that gray area at the top of the island? I'm like, that's lava zone 9. That's an extinct volcano. She go, can I live there? And so I'm like, leave me alone. Yeah. So if you guys, there's people who come in here and they go, I just want to move to Hawaii. Like I've been hearing this a lot. People are they say they're selling their houses for they think it's a lot of money for them. And they automatically think that then they can come to Hawaii and buy a home and get a deal on a house here. And I've mentioned it before that just because the median price of the whole island looks like it's not that expensive, that's because the real estate in South Kona and some of these lava zone experiences pull the entire median price down. So that's the reason why we have these conversations, so people kind of get a better picture of really where part of the island, what it costs to live there. So with that, real quick, does anybody have any questions from the gallery for our realtor friends here? You can type them in, or you can unmute yourself and yell it out to the group. Nope. Okay. Well, one thing I'll ask my people is this came up in the group recently is buying as is. I put a little piece of information from a legal document about as is does not mean that the sellers can't disclose information, what's happening in the house. But our 3 realtor friends, have you guys seen people just say, I'll take as is because I'm just trying to get to this house and I'm just trying to be, just whatever it takes to get the seller to accept my offer? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say on my latest listing, in the busy market in HPP, one of the neighborhoods you mentioned, we had buyers willing to do literally, we had all cash, we had no inspection, we had lease back, as is, addendum, just about anything for that house. They were willing to give the sellers anything. So I'm not saying that's every single situation right now, but I'm still seeing stuff like that.
Yeah. And also, what about waiving inspections?
Yeah, they waived the inspection.
Okay.
Which I would never, just for everybody here who's a buyer, I will never recommend that to you ever on any property. I mean, maybe if you were like an investor who was buying a property where there was absolutely no, like an all cash thing, like probably nobody in this meeting would be in a situation where I would ever recommend that you do that. I don't think you need to do that to get a house here, but I did just see that happen on one of my listings.
No, you did. Okay. Yeah. And then Lance, what's your stake on that?
Yeah. So I'm with Amber. I always tell people don't ever waive your inspection. But go ahead and go as is, because the biggest thing that I tell them, and real quick, just add on to what Amber said, I did have a client recently that was in the trades. He was an electrician, but he worked with contractors. He worked around homes all the time. He was comfortable taking on that liability, with it. So I've always told people, if you're an accountant or a realtor or somebody that's not in the trade, don't ever give it up. And even if you are, don't give it up. But some people are comfortable doing that. But the next thing is a lot of them are requiring you in the private realtor remarks that the public doesn't see. They're requiring an as is addendum on there. But the biggest thing I remind my clients is as is doesn't mean what it sounds like. I mean, yeah, the seller's putting you on notice. Hey, we're not fixing anything. Whatever price you come up with, you're buying it as is. But that doesn't mean that you have to take it as is. So if you do that inspection and you find out that neither the seller nor yourself or anybody else knew that roof had 1 week left before it falls in on itself, that you can say, okay, I went out, I'm bailing. Or since you didn't know about it either, seller, what do you want to do? Because now you got to disclose it to anybody else that buys. Do you want to give me a credit or reduce the price of some kind? So that's a good way to work around it. So as is doesn't always mean as is. It's a way out for you if as is worse than you thought it was.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact,
Yeah.
Eric's working on something like that where we went in and looked at the house, didn't see anything strange. And then we got an inspection in there and he saw that underneath the couch, the tile flooring is buckling. And he said there's 15, 16 of these little buckles happening. Eventually what's going to happen, the entire floor will buckle. So they got, they asked the seller, they say, hey, this is a deal kicker. So they did a negotiate to have the floor, money someone give it back to pay for the flooring, when the deal closes. So yeah, that was kind of shocking. So Delania?
Yeah, that's it. I was just going to say, that's like Lance said, sometimes sellers are requiring it or requesting it in advance. It is something we use quite often in negotiations because it's not taking away your right to inspection. It's not taking away disclosures. It leans a little heavy on the warranties, but you still have rights to do all of your due diligence and you still can request and often do request repairs. It's all negotiable. But it just kind of gives notice to both parties that you're not going to nitpick on things. You're not going to, that you understand that it's an as is sale and you're sorry, I've been a helper taking it as is. So it's not a big scary. I think it's important for your clients to carefully read the addendum and what it says and get a clear understanding, but it doesn't necessarily lock you into one specific lane.
Yeah. Okay. She's so loving. There we go. And what else has come up? Have you guys seen anything else that is like, some of the things I started hearing some stuff from the mainland that people were like, there was one story that somebody said they wanted a house so bad that the realtor suggested that they put $500,000 in on the earnest money. And if the guy backed out for any reason, that the seller would still get the $500,000. So there's some crazy going on in the mainland where I'd like to believe that hasn't happened here yet. And maybe now that the market's going, it seems to be, it's not as competitive, maybe a little bit, that we aren't going to see those kinds of sharp offers as they call them. So, but what are you guys seeing out there? Are you guys still against like 4 or 5 other buyers in the market when you're out there trying to sell houses, you guys? Have you ever had one guy that just say, you want this house? Okay, you can have it. And it goes into escrow, boom, without anybody competing with them?
I think we're in kind of a weird situation because there's a house that my clients offered on, and the seller, they're still in the market. It's been about 10 or 11 days. We did not go full price because we're concerned about the appraisal. We did add an appraisal gap. It was a really strong offer, but the sellers want to kind of wait it out and see if they can get something more, and they haven't. It's 10, 11 days. We're hoping to go back to them, but I think there's still that mindset for a lot of sellers that you can ask for whatever you want, even if the comps don't support it, and you can, be really demanding. And I think there's going to be some time for it to shift before sellers get realistic about what
is happening,
what's happening in the market. So, it's just, we're in that weird, not everyone's on the same page. It's kind of like when this market started, you were seeing so many different things because not everybody was accustomed to this market. And I think now that we're shifting a little bit, people are still in that older mindset,
Yeah, their houses would go over 100,000 over asking, right? Yeah, well, there we go. So, and then Amber, it's still pretty cranking over there, like you said. It seems to be probably even more busy probably over there than it is over here. I think that people are starting to get fatigued in terms of pricing over here. So,
yeah, it's pretty busy over here. The thing that I keep being surprised week after week is how many sight unseen purchases I'm still seeing in East Hawaii. I kind of thought we would be like more done with that by now, but both my clients, I have
This
a
is
lot
at
of
a mom's
sight
house.
unseen, and also when I have a listing, I see a lot of sight unseen showing. So a lot of virtual stuff happening still.
yeah.
I mean, I guess we're back with maybe the COVID effect still. Just people not wanting to miss out, the ones who are buying, so they're making moves if they're off island. But yeah, a lot of sight unseen still. It's just kind of surprised me this month.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I had 2 or 3 people saying that they're going to buy something and they've never been to this island before. So like I said, where do you want to live on the island? I'm not too sure. Like wherever. This island's too big to have that attitude. It's like things are so different on all the different aspects of the island. You literally, I mean, again, everyone does their own thing, but I really do believe that you should probably have your feet on the ground on this island at least once before, saying where you want to live. So yeah. And then Lance, what are you seeing out there? Do you have any, having any listings that you have right now that you're seeing, like what's happening in terms of what's happening in the market?
I don't have any listings right at the moment. So, my last one has been a month ago. We had a couple of offers on it over listing. I reached out, I went and looked at a listing with a client today in Waikoloa, and they had one offer in already. They were reviewing offers until Monday. And they were going to answer on Monday. So they only had one offer in at this point, but you still had the weekend to go. And in the listing, they said that they were holding off and reviewing. So, I'm not seeing the 8, 9, 10 like there was at a point, but seeing 2 or 3 still coming in.
Okay. So there you go. Still a competitive market. And so also I saw a house that went on today for 800, right, in Kona. And the listing agent said it's a perfect starter home for first-time home buyers. I'm like, $800,000.
Yeah.
So,
How do you start
it was a
there?
2-2 house, right? And so yeah. So it is what it is. And again, when people tell us what's happening on the mainland, I'm like, oh, that's what's happening here. So it's happening everywhere. But the good news is it seems like the interest rates going up has slowed down the market a little bit. And I think that, people are starting to kind of pull back a little. At least that's what it seems like you guys are saying in other parts of the island. So it's good. Is there any other questions? I try and keep these things to about a half an hour. Questions?
I had a question about, so if like the main house is permitted, but there's an unpermitted structure on the property, what is like I guess this might be a question for your mortgage guys, but is it difficult to get financing on something like that where there's an additional structure like an ADU that isn't permitted, but the main house is permitted?
Amber?
I can take that. There's a lot of unpermitted in East Hawaii. So it really is going to be super specific to the situation. So I can't give you a blanket answer. It'll depend on the loan program, the lender. It'll depend on if it's the quality of the unpermitted addition. It'll depend on how much of it's permitted versus unpermitted. But one thing to keep in mind is, generally speaking, it seems if there is unpermitted additions on a property and it does still work for your financing, that addition is likely not going to be factored into the appraisal value. So that's why those are kind of ideal more for if it's an addition that would, bring a lot of value maybe to what the purchase price or sales price is going to end up being. Those are more ideal for cash buyers or people who have more cash who could kind of make up for the fact that won't appraise. So that square footage won't be factored really into the appraisal value. So not like a straight answer on that. It'll be super specific to the property. I've sold completely unpermitted everything houses. I've sold houses that just have a tiny bit permitted, no issue for the loan. So, but if you have a specific property, you can shoot it over to me. I can take a look, but I like to work really closely with lenders and kind of like get them looking at the property and tell me what they think and the different loan programs and if they think it's going to work sooner than later, so that you don't kind of get into escrow with a property where it would fall out because of, you know, a permitting issue. So it depends.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, speaking of permitting issues, Lance is working with the West Hawaii Association of Realtors and with a grant from the National Association of Realtors to alert our homeowners on this island that the county permitting department is going to be closing out permits, which there's a lot of open permits. Lance, are you listening? Can you give them a little bit of something in case they buy these houses and then they have to close out these permits themselves?
Yeah, let me get, I just walked in the door. Sorry, dogs, kids, wife, everybody greeting me. I'm walking in the other room. So on the permits, and I just ran into one on a property we were looking at writing an offer on. So there's a permit from 2010 on this property that wasn't closed out, and it was they put on solar electric on the roof. Okay, so what's going to happen is that's going to be automatically closed out on June 1st, put null and void. So these people, if they don't get it closed before then, get an inspector out there, they're going to have to pull an as-built and come out and have it done then. In this case, I don't know. They have to update it. If they don't close out the original permit, they're going to have to update it to the current energy standards. So I don't know what that may be when it comes to a solar, energy. But if it were an AC unit or something, it may require them to have to go get double pane windows and things like that. So a lot of unintended consequences from them doing this. But on the other hand, it needs to be done. There's 38,000 open permits in the county that need to be closed out. So we're trying to work with them to the ones that look like this to get them to not just make them null and void.
Now, if you were a buyer coming into the market, okay, so this obviously, if this is happening June 1st, it's gonna be too bad anyway, because no one in this market, I mean, this group is probably going to close in the next like 2 weeks. But is this a good question to make sure that you get answered if the seller's permits are open? And how is this something that happens during title inspection? Is this something you have to do on your own to get this handled? I mean, how do you handle that?
It's something that you have to do. Your realtor should be doing on their own for you. Okay. And so you definitely want to be asking that question. You want to have them pull it. So I laugh because if you've ever tried to get a hold of somebody at the city council or at the mayor's office, good luck. You don't get any chances, but put something out there that, excuse my language, but pisses them off. I had Nicole Lowen, the state representative, call me on a Saturday morning to find out what I was doing, and I had the mayor call me on Wednesday. So I had them reach out to me instead of me having to try to get a hold of them. But he scheduled a meeting with me on this coming Wednesday at 10 o'clock with him and the director of the permitting department. We're going to go over this because the next question is, since they're going through with this, is what are we going to see as a realtor when it's been null and void? Is it not going to show up? So are we going to not know and not be able to disclose to a buyer that this is noodles? Sorry, that this is a problem and it's happening. So there's a lot of ifs, but absolutely, we all want to be doing our due diligence in the next 6 months to really pay attention to how this is being handled.
There we go. So you guys, that's kind of like you guys get to hear this first. It's just going to start hitting the public pretty soon. When do those mailers go out, Lance?
Tomorrow.
There you go. So you guys get to hear that everyone's going to get something in their mail in the next 2 days, and they're going to say, "What the?"
Yeah.
And then the county's going to be overwhelmed with people trying to call the permitting office and trying to see if they've closed permits on their houses. So, but yeah, so you guys keep an eye on that one as you guys are thinking about buying here, that just making sure that someone's checking those permits. And is there any other trend update that you want to share? If people don't know, Lance is the president of the West Hawaii Association of Realtors. He just came back from working with the legislative people up in DC for the National Association of Realtors, and that's where this kind of started coming through.
I'll just share a real quick tidbit because everybody's worried about the market and what's happening, and it was really interesting. They gave the top 7 people that predict, what's happening in the housing market. They asked them to predict, and this was just like 3 weeks ago. They said, what's going to happen in the next 12 months with interest rates and everything. So at the high end of the scale was Zillow saying that prices were going to go up about 7.5%, I think. And at the low end was CoreLogic claiming about 2.5%, and in the middle was NAR claiming about 4.5%, and the price going up. So you take that, I mean, I tend to run in the middle of that because it's 7 experts and none of them can agree on anything. It was almost like a staircase going up, again, with CoreLogic being at the bottom stair and Zillow at the top stair. So, I would probably prepare for somewhere in the middle where we don't think there's going to be the double-digit increases. Nobody does. So this year might, pan out to be, nobody's predicting a loss, but several of them are predicting that it gets back to normal, at least on the amount, but not on the prices. But going up 2.5 to 4.5. I'm going to put it at 4.5 is going to be my estimate of what we see. I'm going to go with NAR.
Yeah. Okay. NAR.
And I'll post that graphic to you. We'll put it in the group.
Okay. There's a question from Sheila. Is it any easier to find a 3 to 6 month rental while house shopping? Probably not. We're still looking at a pretty intense short supply of rental housing right now. What some people are doing is just approaching Airbnbs and working with the owners and saying that if I rent this for 3 to 6 months, can you give me a deal? And so that's been something that's been happening, especially as we head through summer and early fall. That probably is not going to be the case if you also add in next Christmas and January and February, because that's our high season. But if you were thinking about doing that, this is the time to do that: June, July, August, September. So that's
yeah. I haven't seen that many that just have every single day of the month free for 2 or 3, 4 months in advance.
Yeah. The best way to do that is if someone just purchased a home and they turned it into a rental property.
Mm-hmm.
So if I hear of that, I'll let you know. But also, have you checked furnishedfinder.com?
I've been watching. Yeah. We're still a couple of months out. I retire next week, so I'm finally at the finish. Yeah. So finally at the finish line. I also wanted to ask about the change from the cesspool to the septic tanks. Is that still on plan?
So we've been put on notice every year. They're going to attack us on that. As of right now, we defeated everything in legislation this year. So starting next January, they're going to come at us again. But as of now, there's nothing on the plate except for the 2050.
Yeah. So that's
okay.
Good. So that way, at least you're not on the hook for $20,000 septic refit when you move into
right away.
Home. Yeah. Okay, those are good. Thanks. That's I think those are the big hits, right, Lance? The permitting, the septic, and the prices, and what's going to happen with the trends. So that was good. So at least you guys here on this call have gotten like the most up-to-date information you're going to get basically at this point. So, again, with the whole having to sell your house first on the mainland, so that way a seller here will take you seriously. I have 2 or 3 people who are still worried about if they lose their house in the mainland and they come here and they can't find a place to rent while they're looking, they're in that space of like, I get it. So people are definitely still trying to get in that position. And it's just the rental market just isn't really opening up. I now hear people saying they can't find anything and they have to leave the island because there's no place for them to live. So I still get a bunch of people from my 365 Kona newbies group. I just want to move to the island. I want to move. And I'm telling you guys, I'm not letting them in. I'm like, we don't have enough room for the people who live here. And the people who want to buy here is different than the people who just want to come and just live on an island and just hang out. So that was fun, 10 years ago. It's just harder now because we're just not building enough housing. And a lot of people who had rental housing sold it. And now people are moving in full time. So we're losing those rental homes too. So, yeah.
It's that exact same problem, right? He's possibly thinking about turning down his job that he flew here for because he can't find any housing. That's how bad it is for rental.
Yeah. And it's gonna be interesting when all the employers start saying, well, wait a minute, how are we gonna get someone to fill in this position? I don't know if they're gonna have to throw a bunch of money at their salary or try and secure different kinds of housing. I don't know. Lance and I went off for 20 minutes on the vexing housing issue on this island on our update a couple days ago when we were doing live. And one guy said, well, you don't want to build more housing because it's going to turn, Kona into Oahu, and you'll ruin the flavor of the island if you build more housing. I'm like, well, or you can run everybody off. I don't know. So yeah, it's a hard experience right now. So yeah. So Sheila, sometimes people who buy houses, sometimes will reach out to me, and sometimes they'll buy places with Ohanas, and then they know that I have people that are looking for 3 to 6 months because they don't want to do full time. So stay in touch and I'll see what I can do with that. Okay. Okay. Anything else? Nope. Okay. So next, just to give you guys a little heads up, next month to do this will be on the Thursday, the 23rd, and I will just have returned from my trip to France. So, we will definitely be doing third Thursday at 3 next month. We hope you guys will join us. And I will also put this recording on YouTube so that way people can check it out if they couldn't join us right now. So, but if you do want to join us live, please join our Ohana. You go to Move to Hawaii 365, and you can click join Ohana, and you'll get in on our email list, and you'll also get free books. I've got my How to Move to Kona book and the Insider's Guide to Buying Real Estate on the Big Island of Hawaii that you can download as a PDF by joining that group. And what we ask for in return is that you use one of my real estate partners. You see these people here, they're wonderful human beings. They have years of experience. They're amazing. So we try and help you guys be the best people you can be when you move to Hawaii. And with that, we will say thank you to Amber and Delania and Lance, and to all of you guys for joining us.
Thank you guys. Aloha. Sorry, I was driving. I apologize.
Okay.
Guys.
Yeah, you still tapped in, so I appreciate that, Lance. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Bye.